Did you ever play Red Dead Redemption?
Oh, crazy. We use their soundtrack as a background music. Did you play the zombie version?
Yeah. I did not. That was our soundtrack on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, screw it. Let's just do this. Welcome back to KXLU 88.9 FM Los Angeles. You're listening to A Fistful of Vinyl with Alec and John, and we have a guest here tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Reza Farazmand, and I am an internet cartoonist.
Now, which internet cartoon do you do?
It's called Poorly Drawn Lines, poorlydrawnlines.com, and it's a lot of funny stuff, I think.
Yeah,
Other people seem to think so as well.
I mean, at least 400,000 people on Facebook are like, yeah, that's, the dude's got chops.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about a bunch of stuff tonight. For people who've listened to us for a while, they know our show's about, well, one, about music, but also about, comedy and, to an extent, video games. But tonight's not a video game night. Tonight's a funny night. So John and I came up with discussion topics that I wrote.
Groups.
I think I wrote a thing down. But
So
no.
just one topic.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't remember what it is, and it's on my phone, which is recording us right now, so I can't look at it. So I think we'll just kind of go by the skin of our teeth. I want to know, and maybe the listeners want to know, hopefully, how you kind of got your start in comics, and we'll go from there. Like, what introduced you to the medium?
Cool. So I didn't even draw comics or really draw anything until my senior year of high school when I picked up a copy of Matt Groening's Life in Hell and was inspired to start drawing myself. And I basically just tried to copy him and started doing a comic strip for my high school paper. And then once I got to college, I decided to continue it there, which is where I came up with Poorly Drawn Lines and started doing that as a weekly comic strip in the UC San Diego's student newspaper, which is called The Guardian. And then after graduating, I decided to make it a webcomic and keep going. And yeah, that's where it is now.
So what made you decide to go the virtual route? I guess this is sort of a big question about like physical publishing, physical mediums versus non-physical medium or whatever it is the internet comic consists of. But like, what was that decision like? Was it mostly monetary, or was there something more to it than that?
Well, it wasn't really I didn't make a deliberate decision not to work in print, and I still definitely like the idea of working in print, but at the time that I started drawing, I was getting into webcomics, and webcomics were really coming into their own as a medium, and it seemed like a great place to put my stuff and try to sort of do what those other webcomic artists were doing and build an audience there. And the idea of trying to get into print never really even occurred to me until recently, and I've already found success as an internet cartoonist, and so now I'm thinking about transitioning into print from here, now that I've sort of established an audience and found my voice.
And, oh, okay, cool, voice. That was part of the thing I wrote down. Let's see if I can reconstruct the rest of it. How is it that like you established and sort of developed your voice once you knew, like, I guess kind of what topics you wanted your comics to cover, or like what kind of statements you wanted to make with your comics? How did you create that voice and then grow it to what it is now?
It just sort of happened with practice, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never really deliberately sat down and decided these are the themes that I want to be in the comic. These are the topics that I want to cover. I've always just drawn whatever joke came to mind, whether it's about like a hamster having a nervous breakdown or pigeons like decrying racism against their people. So those are two comics that I've done, and so I just feel like I've become more comfortable, even just in the last year, with these ideas and with turning these little specks of ideas into full comics. And the people who read my comics seem to be responding well, and the audience is growing. So that's really cool to see people like responding to my style of humor, which isn't exactly something you'd read in like a Sunday comic section.
So I have this question that I was just thinking about. One thing so I've done some writing in my life. One thing that's kept me from doing more writing is this worry about the idea of like permanence of words and what it means to write a thing and for it to be in the world and for people to be able to see it and the sort of like weight that comes with that. And the internet has like an even stronger sense of permanence. When stuff goes on the internet, it stays on the internet. So does that affect you at all? And how do you get over this feeling like of hundreds of thousands of people seeing your work? And are you like hyper self-critical at times, or like you said you got more and more comfortable, and I imagine that's happened over time, but how was it at the beginning to get over this, I guess, like writer's block or fear of like publicizing your work?
Well, when I first started doing this site, I was barely getting any traffic at all, so I was writing for like a couple hundred people maybe, and it's just sort of grown gradually. Like it's not like I just suddenly had a flood of like 1 million people come to the site. It's happened over time, and so there hasn't really been a point where I've gotten freaked out by the idea of people not liking my work, because what's worked for me up to this point is just writing what I think is funny and what I think is interesting. And I think any writer or artist needs to sort of stick to their guns and not think too much about how people are going to perceive their work or whether they're going to find it interesting or funny. They just need to do what they like. And I mean, ultimately, that's where you're going to build an audience from.
You said something that, I guess makes perfect sense, but was something that I didn't really consider was that, I'm not going to get it verbatim, but you basically said like I think I'm funny, which on its own, I mean, like when John and I say it, we sound really like conceited and kind of disconnected when we say we think we're funny, but when you say it, it seems like a very important element of like the creative process, that you're creating something that, it is first and foremost yours. And like this audience is sort of like blossomed out of a mutual appreciation for what you like and for what they can find, I guess, what they can find appreciation in. But now that you've achieved, I guess, publicity on, the interwebs or, the comic going sites, do you feel any sort of responsibility to these fans to like, I don't know, like create content that they want to see, or, sort of accept pressures from them or accept suggestions from them to move your comic in certain directions?
Yeah. Well, I don't really take suggestions. Like I've never done a comic based on a suggestion that a reader has given me, but I am aware of how they react to certain comics, and like certain jokes work and certain jokes don't work quite as well. Sometimes, like I've been introducing more recurring characters recently, which is something I hadn't done before. I should just do standalone strips, and people are like, "Oh yeah, we want more of this recurring character," and then maybe I'll think about writing more for that character, or they're like, "Oh, we're getting tired of this character," and so I try not to be too swayed by what people are saying or leaving in the comments section, but at the same time, I feel like it is good to like get that feedback and know what people are interested in, and try to build jokes off of that. But mostly I feel like it's got to be what I find funny and what I like, and then just hope that other people like share that interest basically once it gets out there.
Right.
But yeah, there is like you said, like feeling sort of responsible to this audience. Like now that I have more people reading the strip, I definitely kind of feel like I have to keep making my work better and funnier, and I feel like I would be doing that anyway, like trying to grow as a writer and an artist. But now with people coming to the website every day, I'm like, oh, like pressure's on kind of, but not in a bad way.
No, I mean, it sounds like you're going about it in sort of like a utilitarian way, where like all this pressure that's coming externally, you're using to channel into your product, which is ultimately satisfying like the people who are externally trying to create, I guess, a better comic. That sentence really got away from me. Did you guys get an idea from that? It was close, right?
Yeah, definitely. The people who read my comic are also, up till now, have been like really cool and supportive, and I get like really great comments, and yeah, so it's nice to be writing for an audience so that enjoys your stuff. You know, they wouldn't be coming to the website if they didn't.
Yeah. All right, I want to try something. Has there been a time maybe in the past where like you've written like a particularly, I don't know if it's like maybe a risky comic or one that you felt like God, I don't know how the audience is going to take this, and like what kind of like, so and if you have one in mind, like what kind of reception ultimately came from that, like.
I can't think of one right now that I felt like I was really pushing. Okay, actually, well, I did one this past week. It was about this character called Casual Leon, and he's just the way that I got to that. It's just about this guy who's like super casual, and he's just like always leaning against the wall and just looking casual. And when I wrote that one, like halfway through drawing it, I was like, "Am I the only one who finds this funny? Like, I hope that other people are gonna find this funny," because it was definitely like something that I thought was entertaining. Like, I drew this little sketch of this character and came up with this face accidentally, and I was like, "This face is hilarious!" Like, it made me laugh. So I decided to expand it into a full comic, and surprisingly, people reacted well to it, even though it was like there wasn't a punchline or anything. There wasn't a real joke there. It was just kind of visually funny. And yeah, that seemed to do pretty well. As far as like doing risque stuff, I recently wrote a joke about these people who try to like convey their emotions by holding up signs, and like there's this one girl who holds up this really gratuitous sign about like involving feces, and I haven't really gotten down to drawing that one yet because I'm not sure how people would react to it. So I'm saving that one for a rainy day, I guess, or when I'm feeling really bold.
And it's got to float somebody's boat, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Just like, somebody out there is gonna be like, oh, like, me too, honey. Me too. Cool. I think we should probably play some more music. We have the Manx coming up, some Bomb the Music Industry, some Eric Peterson, but the crux of the show is about poorly drawn lines. So I invite anyone who wants to call in at 310-338-5958, 310-338-KXLU, or hit us up on Twitter at A Fistful of Vinyl or Facebook at A Fistful of Vinyl. God, I'm
embarrassed every time.
I am. I hate marketing myself. I just like every time I do it, it's just like, please like my thing. Like I made this and it'd mean a lot to me if you liked it. If you don't, that's fine. I'll put it away. But if you like it, that's neat.
I made you this macaroni art plate and you're free to leave.
Yeah, it's just like I'm really proud of it. I don't think it's very good, but if you like it, then you can like it. Anyway, we're gonna play some music now that actually is very good, and I'm gonna shut my damn mouth. Fistful of Vinyl.
Do you want to pause this recording? Or you want to keep it going?
I should probably just keep it going. No reason why not, right?
It seems like editing would be easier without like hours of music or like an hour of music to keep through.
Points what?
Maybe you'll get some nice off-air stuff.
Now there's gonna be like 6 seconds of like it's just gonna screw the editing all to hell.
Oh, no.
Like, there's gonna be 6 seconds in there that we didn't record. I'm like gonna be freaking out about syncing it up later. Like,
Good, I hope it drives you crazy.
yeah, man.
Fuck you.
See, that's what I get for building a computer that can edit. It's like, now I edit everything. Fuck. Who am I kidding? I built a computer to play video games. Like,
I'm thinking about building a PC for that purpose.
dude.
Yeah.
I have a MacBook Pro, so like my gaming options are pretty limited. But I also feel like if I committed to that, I would probably play two games. Yeah.
We got a call. Should we see if it's on the office line? But
Yeah, take it. It's always been good.
Fistful of Vinyl.
Hello, you just played Puccini's opera earlier this evening.
Oh yes, that was Catherine Free. She was the DJ before us.
Can you tell me who sang the soprano part?
I unfortunately cannot.
Is there anybody there who can?
Well, Catherine Free is probably your best bet. I would recommend either emailing her or giving her a call next week before 11.
Nobody was in the studio while she was playing it?
I was. I don't know the first thing about opera.
Did you know that to Placido Domingo was singing?
No. To be perfectly honest.
There was no one there who knew that Placido Domingo was singing?
You might be overestimating the number of people who are here. There's like 4 of us.
Yeah, well, what about the other 3? Would anybody know?
No, I don't think so.
Or would you know? Really, what I want to know is who the soprano was.
Google the previous DJ and then email her.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to find you Catherine's email address, okay?
Okay.
Do you use email?
Pardon me?
Do you use email?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
If I gave you her email address, would you be able to email her?
No, I couldn't.
All right. I can't really think of a.
I mean, calling back next week is probably.
You could, yeah. I think my best suggestion would be to call back next week, next Monday night when she's on.
There's nobody in the whole studio who might have heard it.
Again, there's 3 of us.
Can you ask one of the other 2?
I don't know.
Neither of them know. Unfortunately, they arrived with me, and we're all equally uneducated in opera.
Oh.
Yeah, I've heard of Placido Domingo.
Oh,
I don't think I'd recognize him if I heard him, but if somebody was like Placido Domingo, I'd be like, yes, I recognize that dude works in opera.
The soprano who played with him that I wanted to know.
Maybe you could Google.
All right, well, what was the name of the sonata opera bit?
It was Manon Lescaut by Puccini.
Manolo Lescaut?
Manon.
Manon, okay.
Lescaut, Lescaut.
Puccini, with Placido Domingo?
Yeah. I wanted to know who the soprano opposite him was.
All right. Let me see what I can pull up. I'm looking it up right now.
Great.
Okay, let's see. Domingo. Okay, all right. I have 2 names. I'm not sure which one it is, but I'm going to give you both, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Pablo Elvira.
Yeah.
And Renata Scotto.
Renata Scotto. And you don't have a conductor.
I'm looking at the conductor. Hold on. Oh God, Domingo's in 3 versions of this. Do you have any idea what year the one she played was from?
No, I don't know.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna give you some more names. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Kiri Te Kanawa.
Yeah.
Okay, and Thomas Allen.
That's good. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. I'm glad I was able to help you out.
That was weird.
That was a lot like what my normal day is like.
You did a really good job. That's why they paid you to do that.
You were good on that.
Oh, it's so hard not to be condescending.
I know, I can't believe
Like, there's a website called Wikipedia.
I did it. I could not use it.
If you don't have email, that would probably,
Yeah, probably not.
Well, I was afraid to ask that question because I thought I was being condescending, and he fucking didn't have email. Like, you what?
He sounded like he was gonna die after the conversation.
Like, maybe that's why I didn't want to wait till next week. It's like, dude, I'm circling the drain.
You should play this shit at my funeral, man.
Do you know that circling the drain is a real term that doctors and emergency medics use?
Really?
Mhm. CTD.
I just found out about this last week on a Reddit.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, like, I've seen it on Scrubs. Like, no, that guy's CTD. CTD, like, circling the drain. He's on his way out. Like,
I've never heard that before. That's a good phrase, though.
well, you're a bag of meat and water with electricity running
right.
through it. Like, sorry.
I've seen it again.
Like, I got off the phone so quick.
I know. Yes, thanks. I know. You must have said the right name.
I must have. And I was, like, pulling up their Wikipedia pages to, like, see if it said anything about soprano in their description. Like,
What are you guys playing right now?
This is a band called Bomb the Music Industry. They're out of Brooklyn. And they're one of my favorite bands, personally. And they actually split up a couple months ago, which was, like, a pretty major bummer. But
I like probably 70% of the music. The other 30% is ska, which is not really my jam.
He's racist against ska.
Yeah, I'm
I
very...
used to really like ska.
Really? Then you probably love this
Ninth
band.
grade. Stopped listening to it.
But they do it in like a way... I really hate ska,
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to listen to any of it at all.
You know, you have that in common with hardcore kids, right?
People who like ska. Well, I also hate hardcore music for the most part.
Yeah, but you and hardcore kids have a mutual enemy in ska kids.
But me and hardcore kids also have a mutual enemy in like terrorism. That doesn't make me like them anymore.
You don't know that.
That's a good point.
They like wearing camouflage.
That's a good point. So they can't be seen.
I love and hate that joke.
Uh,
I was a hardcore kid in high school, so. And then we found this weird medium of preppy hipsterdom.
Started listening to Vampire Weekend.
That's how they get you. Yeah.
Yeah, we Mumforded right up.
I don't like them really that much, but their new record is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the new one.
I mean, it's the best record they've ever put out, for sure.
It's way more thoughtful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
It doesn't sound like the same sort of party pop.
Paul Simon Festival.
Yeah, right.
It's a little bit more interesting.
I went to a garage party at one point, and it was one of those parties where like there was maybe 15 people there, so like wasn't really a party, and just like didn't quite have like the vibe I was hoping for that night. And the girl whose house it was like insisted that we listen to that Vampire Weekend album on repeat, like the one that
the one that was famous.
the one that 19-year-old girls like.
Yeah.
Contra? Or is that another song?
I don't know.
One with the girl in the polo shirt on the cover.
Probably. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
That sounds right. Polo shirts.
Just like the kind of the washed out photograph.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe this is a Polaroid, maybe it's an Instagram. Yeah, and I remember I had to listen to that album like 6 times that night, and it was just like, all right, like.
The funniest, so I work at this coffee shop. One of the guys who works with me is this like 6'4" gay dude who used to be a cross-dressing prostitute, and he's a very interesting character. But he loves like really bad, like he loves Lady Gaga. He loves bad club music. So like the place that I work is like an artisan coffee shop. He's a particularly excellent barista. Like he's a really good dude, but he has such a shitty taste in music. But he's sort of like the best barista at the place that I work, so he gets control over the music when he's there.
Oh no.
And so today I had to listen to like 6 hours of just like that's brutal. The second song.
I went to a Starbucks one time and all of the baristas were like jamming out to whatever song they were listening to.
Yeah.
Some like top 40 something, and they're all like dancing and like flipping cups and like tossing each other like balls of milk and shit, like doing like little spins and stuff, and it was like a high school movie or something. But what sucked is like
They walk into a closed
I
set.
forgot my drink and I couldn't get anyone's attention. They were all like so into this like Disney musical scene that they had going on.
All in this
Yeah,
together.
it's like,
This
fuck
is
your
whole
happiness.
milk.
I want the coffee. Yeah.
I asked for 2%. Ooh, we got a question. How much sketching do you do in a day? Also, miss you, Bay, heart. Also, I imagine it's from your brother. Broden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, tweeted at us.
It's like a live. Oh, cool. I didn't know he was on Twitter.
Hooves of Steel. At Hooves of Steel.
Hooves of Steel.
We actually had another comic artist hit us up a couple hours ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Rain Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
You know them?
Yeah. He does a whole, his comic's all about, like, people who work in a record store.
Mm.
And
Cool.
music and stuff. What did he say?
He asked us, he said, just came across you guys. I trust that by folk punk you include everything John Darnell related, like the guy from the Mountain Goats.
Oh, okay.
What
He
should we do?
probably saw my tweet.
Yeah, probably some sort of
Yeah.
comics and music.
So now we're going to play No Children.
Cool. Yeah. Pretty good.
No Children or Up the Wolves?
I think No Children is the best song they ever wrote.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you. But we also play it a lot.
we'll get I don't play in Pokemon. I don't play my shitty Pokemon. It's just play Charizard all the time.
I really want to play Pokemon again.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
You should do it. Look.
You can play Pokemon.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's awesome.
Wait, you're talking about like the Game Boy game or the card game?
The Game Boy game.
Okay.
I'll show you this thing I did.
Is it like an emulator or something?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an emulator. It's called Game Boy.
It's totally an emulator. It's not even kind of.
GBA for iOS. Let's see. Yeah, so like I've only downloaded a few games, but they're just like websites full of ROMs.
Oh, shit.
And like, so these are the ones that I like that I wanted to play again.
Did you have to jailbreak your phone for this?
No. So this is what it looks like. It also looks like this. I've just been playing Pokemon Emerald, and like the great thing about emulators is you can be like load state. I'd like to play from right here. You know?
Oh, damn, it's on color.
Yeah, and it's like looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's great, and there's like sound and shit.
Widescreen. I only ever played it on Game Boy Pocket, like in black and white.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's a great emulator.
Cool.
And there are like you could get any game ever made. For
What
the
is
Game Boy.
it called?
It's called GBA for iOS.
Okay.
The only caveat, I mean, it's not a caveat really, but when you install the thing,
Yeah.
it'll come up with this error that says like cannot install, and it's because the iPhone has some sort of coding system installed. But all you have to do is like go back. You have to change the clock back 1 year,
Oh, okay.
and then it will install, and you can change the clock back again, and then it's no problem. I don't really know why that works. I can't imagine it like tricks the software. I don't think Apple programmers are that bad, but there's something about the clock that like sets off this warning.
Interesting.
But yeah, and then you can get anything, and all of the ROMs, because their ROMs are like 100 megabytes. So
I tried this N64 emulator one time. I tried to play some Zelda game, and it, like the controls just didn't work.
yeah,
I was super frustrated.
We're using like a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you need like a pressure sensitive like joystick kind of for N64 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
to be effective.
Yeah.
I had the same experience with Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
I got all the way to that part where you have to like walk across the
that part is so awful.
yeah, which is like it's fucking hard with the stick. And then that like with that attached to WASD, it was just like, all right, go left. And I watched like that same cinematic of him just like with like a stern look on his face, like he's angry at me for throwing him off a cliff a fourth
I'm
time.
unhappy about falling.
Like he knows it wasn't his fault that he's falling. Like just like the judgment.
50% you, 50% me, Mario.
It sucked to be a video game character and like experience your own death. Like,
Yeah, over and over and over.
God damn it.
Yeah.
And like you know what the right way to beat the
Yeah.
letters or whatever, and like you can't communicate with your controller though. So.
You're blowing it, man. You're killing me.
Yeah, just like there's a guy over there. There's a guy over there. There's a guy.
I'd like to shoot him.
Like come on, just come on. Let me just.
Yeah. Did they make a movie out of that with Gerard Butler?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, we were just talking about that. No, I was talking about that with Peter
What
today.
movie?
Gamer.
I didn't see it.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a good movie. But Michael C. Hall in that movie was awesome. Like, Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they gave him like a weird choreographed dance where he was like demonstrating the mind control that he had over like all of these like subservient like game characters.
Mm-hmm.
And he like made them do this like really silly kind of like Broadway musical line dance. But this is like a bunch of like buff dudes with assault rifles that are like, you know, dancing around and pirouetting. Like,
Is that when the movie started going down? When I brought that dance number.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't actually the best part. I mean, like, John Leguizamo showed up as the sidekick like 10 minutes in, and you're just like all right, it's gonna be that kind of movie.
It's gonna be that kind of movie.
I had like 6 questions a minute ago, and then I grabbed pen and paper. Yeah.
I mean, so the other thing that
I'm interested in asking you, I guess, we can either talk about it now or later, but I think one of the things that is most interesting about the comic is that it's like 3 times a week. Right?
Yeah.
Like what it means to be creative in that regard as opposed to just like when it strikes you
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
it's a good topic.
You know? So I think about that later.
Yeah.
But because there are lots of things to be said about creativity. I mean, as somebody who's like studied literature and that way, you know, I've thought a lot about that. And there are lots of good, different tactics,
separate.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the forced art
Right.
is one.
Yeah, I think that's a good topic for sure. Like about being on a schedule.
Yeah.
Versus just creating when you're inspired.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I will do one more song, then we'll go back live.
Have you read much Virginia Woolf?
I read a little bit in high school, and saw the hours.
Okay. Cool.
Other than that, no. Not a whole lot.
She's a homie, but she has some very awesome things to say about creating.
Yeah.
She always talks about like it's fishing, which I think is the best metaphor for it.
Like fishing?
Yeah.
Didn't she kill herself by just like walking into water with rocks in her pockets?
Yeah, she drowned herself.
I think
was that a metaphor for fishing?
Yeah, she tried to poison herself one time with like a flower of some sort. She was all about killing herself in a poetic way.
Yeah.
But I think
she was strolling out there like Jeff Buckley died this way.
But accidentally, Jeff Buckley, mess that guy.
Yeah.
Man, killing yourself by drowning, that takes fucking
balls.
commitment to it.
Right.
Like, holy shit.
That's like only a step less intense than just like holding your breath till you die.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm gonna duct tape my mouth.
Like it reminds me of like the old like Chuck
faceless.
Norris or, like Vin Diesel random facts. Like like if Chuck Norris were to kill himself, he'd kill himself by holding his breath.
Yeah, totally. Or by punching himself. That's why he's been stretching all these years. It was like a long-term suicide plan.
One day I'll finally be able to. I know it's like we have to go like around his body.
Yeah. That's what all the practices were. Walker, Texas Ranger is actually like, he was really suicidal.
It becomes
Every
like a
time
really
he-
dark show at that
Yeah,
point.
it's like bad guys just kept getting in the way of his roundhouse kicks when they were all aimed at his own cranium. Like,
Guys,
please
stop
don't
it!
kill
let him
myself.
Please just leave me alone long enough to kick myself to death.
He's like all alone, like in a room by himself, and like whips out a kick, and just like some dude just like
some ninja's like, aha! Like thinking he got the drop on him. Just levels it.
That's the terrible dark mastermind plan. Every time he tries to kick himself in the face,
Go! Like that's his curse. It's just like it's like very Sisyphusian at that point. Just like
back up the hill track.
He's too like independent and strong to ever tell anybody, so he just like goes along with it.
Yeah, I beat the bad people.
oh man.
But I'm the bad person.
Terrible curse. Cursing norms. He eventually went insane and started adopting conservative views and
Saved himself.
hardline conservative values.
Is there any other kind? You don't go conservative to be all like tepid about it.
I love the road,
It's like, guys, I think we could use.
Fuck gays. That's for good people.
I think we could use a little bit less gun control.
yeah. You see that commercial he did with his wife about like 1,000 years of hell raining down on the
10 seconds, by the way. Right.
Only 1,000.
I think so, yeah.
1,000 years of hell wouldn't be so bad.
I wish this game came out on PC.
They don't really do that, Rockstar.
Rockstar? This is the only game they haven't.
Did GTA 4 come out on PC?
Mm-hmm.
Did,
Yeah, I have
did
it.
Rockstar Ping Pong come out on PC?
That was a proof.
Fuck you, Alec.
That was a proof of concept. It doesn't count.
It was an awesome game.
I hate it when people they call right now.
Go answer it.
Fistful of vinyl.
Yeah, that was your chance.
Welcome back to a Fistful of Vinyl on KXLU 88.9 FM Los Angeles. My deepest apologies to whoever I just hung up on.
Bad timing.
Retrospectively, I probably shouldn't have answered the phone. That was just like, it was just an opportunity for me to kind of be a dick. Like, okay, you have 4 seconds, go. All right, bye.
Express yourself.
Reminds me of when Sam the Armenian comedian used to call.
Those are the days.
Man, we used to have this dude who, from my understanding, got banned from K-Rock because he used to be kind of like one of Kevin and Bean's puppets, where like they have him come on and do like a couple funny things. His bit was that he was comedian who was Armenian. That was his
They
funny
rhyme,
element.
A lot of material there.
Yeah, it's like he's got an accent, you know. But yeah, I think like he wanted to have his own show, so they told him no, and then he threatened to kill the whole lot of them.
Which
So they gave him a restraining
you
order.
think Armenians would? I'm not even gonna go there. That sounds like I take it back.
Do you want to end up in a landfill, John? Be careful. Yeah, so then he started like calling here, and he liked our show, and he'd like call and just, you know, talk to us, and it got to the point where we just like we'd answer because we wouldn't know it was him, and as soon as we realized it was him, we just turned down the monitors and just all kind of sit here quietly, like refugees until
Hide in the dark room, yeah.
So what happened? You stopped calling after a while?
we changed our show time.
Mostly to avoid him.
Yeah, I don't think he gave up. I think technically we threw in the towel. If you
So
wanna-
he's won, really.
Yeah, he now controls 9 a.m. to noon. So I'm going to back announce really quick. The last song you heard was by Damien. It was called Soul Night. I've actually been trying to track that guy down. I found other music by him, but I can't figure out a way to get a hold of him. If you guys know Damien, tell him to hit up Alec. Before that was Au Revoir by the Front Bottoms. Before that, Eric Peterson and Robert Blake with Old Time Memory. Before that, Bomb the Music Industry with Struggler. And we started off the set with The Manx. The song was called There Is a Time. And that song was featuring Kali Kazoo. So, we have a special guest here today. You may know him from Poorly Drawn Lines, the wildly successful webcomic, soon to be moderately successful coffee table book.
I hope it's oversized, the book that you make. Can you make it like the size of a coffee table so it's actually a coffee
I've
table?
always
That's
thought that'd
the
be the best
idea,
part.
yeah. Like I want to take that term literally. I feel like not enough people have played on that joke yet. Coffee table book. Like I want it to actually have legs, maybe fold
Be a
out
coffee
legs.
table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to design a new kind of bookshelf just for this new style of book. And yeah, it has cup holders as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So you don't spill your coffee.
You know, that's something I've realized a lot of books are lacking.
Yeah, cup holders, right?
I think that's the reason I don't read as much as I should.
I think that's probably the solution to digital overtaking print is to give it more like features.
To start
Yeah.
accessorizing.
Optional features. Like you can buy several different types of the same book, one with cup holders, one with like it becomes warm in your hands, so like on a cold day it's good to read it at a bus stop or something.
Nice. I mean,
Collapsible magnifying glass.
if
Yeah,
we want to
those
go
kind of
for like
things.
the 2002 to 2005 crowd, we could just make all books like, you know, plug in, give them like a USB plug-in.
Yeah.
You know, like the USB plug-in rock. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that actually sold like, that broke $1 million. Some guy made $1 million
it's a good idea.
Yeah.
selling a rock that you could
Yeah.
plug into your USB.
I'd still buy one.
It's got to be compatible.
Yeah, it's,
Was it 2.0 or 3.0?
you
It
know,
must have been 2.0.
no, it had a separate power plug, so I think it was 2.0.
Mm.
Yeah, got to get with the times.
Yeah. You see that 3.1 is finally going to be reversible?
Oh, with like
You'll be able to plug it in upside down and right side
Oh.
up. So there'll be, because right now it takes almost everybody, at least everybody, 3 tries,
Yeah.
which is incredible because there are only 2 sides to the USB.
well, yeah, because you click the first side and you're like, no, that's not it.
Wrong.
Then you go for the second side, but with a little bit more force, and you're like, well, that's not it. It must have been the first side,
Right, and then you get it.
and then you go about it really forcefully.
But so now they've just solved the problem entirely,
Yeah. So as long as you just do it one time with a lot of force.
which I've always said, that's how babies are made.
It's going to be one of those obsolete technological problems, and no one's going to remember it. after
Nobody
a
will
while,
understand
like-
that joke.
Yeah, like things like rewinding VCR, like rewinding tapes with your finger and stuff.
Oh man, or like fixing cassette tapes with a pencil.
Yeah,
Like,
that's one of those little things that
I caught the
remember.
tail end of that myself, and like I'm gonna remember that fondly.
I still definitely remember feeling like dread when one of my dad's tapes like all
Right. Yeah.
spewed out.
Yeah,
while I was listening to it.
decides to like screw itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like off it goes into the innards of my boombox.
Consumed.
And it's
Like-
just never the same again.
Yeah. And like maybe nobody else can hear it, but you can hear that one part in Born to Run where like it's really clearly creased, like that.
That always bummed me out about CDs. Like when you scratch a CD and you know that it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
There's always going to be like that one anomaly on like track 4 from now on.
Yeah, it's just like, and that
You
it's
like
just
brace yourself for it.
the constant reminder of like you did this.
Yeah.
Look at what you've done to the things you
Hootie and the Blowfish was fine, and then. Oh right, we were talking about comics and stuff, huh?
Yeah, at some point.
I like talking about CDs though.
So, are you going to release your comics on vinyl, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a spoken word version of the comics.
Brilliant.
Where I just read the text. And,
like summarize the pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, he's a squirrel, but he's holding a pistol.
Yeah.
And he's gonna talk about his nuts, and it's kind of ambiguous which nuts he's talking about. So now that you guys are prepared for that, listen.
Yeah. Let me just set this up for you. Also describing facial features and character heights and colors.
Yeah, it's
all of
important
that
to get the background clear and concise.
Yeah, it's actually gonna be it's gonna be like a double vinyl album because there's gonna be a lot on it.
Yeah,
It's gonna be weeks of
Hours.
audio.
With like the accompanying laser disc.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you should get like
one of those like overhead projector slides for some of your comics, you know, and people have to like cycle through them frame by frame.
And they have to like rent projectors to read the comics.
Or you could sell them.
Or like it comes with a 7th grade science teacher to click through. I had the worst one. In 7th grade, I had the teacher who thought it'd be funny to rewind the baby tape.
Wait, you mean the Miracle of Life?
Yeah, the Miracle of Life.
Oh man,
play it backwards.
Yeah.
There was a kid at my high school passed out during that, and never quite lived it down. But I don't blame him. I mean, I was close to passing out when you see that for the first time.
Yeah, it was just like, oh god, what is it covered in? Like, it doesn't look like a Polly Pocket. Like, nobody's happy.
That's not a Cabbage Patch Kid at all.
Oh god, and now I'm remembering the statistic. I'm calling it a statistic. I heard it in Scrubs, so I just assume it's true. But like most mothers, as they give birth, push out more than a baby. I don't know how explicit I want to be with this. Are you guys getting my point?
Poop?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay.
It's just like
I hadn't even thought about that yet. I was like the placenta. Like,
it's like, well, Alec, nature.
Thinking in terms of that makes sense there.
I had this really awful high school teacher who left and then was replaced by this really awfuler substitute teacher who decided that like playing videos would be the appropriate way to spend the next like 8 weeks of my time. So we played this awesome prank on her, and I like to share this as often as I can because it's a highlight of my life. Because I haven't done very
downhill
many
from here.
Yeah. But so we bought one of these, like you've probably seen them. They're universal remotes, but they're just like a small black box with one button on them, and the button is just a power button. So we'd wait for her to like walk around. The game was this: we had one kid who was African American, and my school there were like 7 of them. He's a great dude, but like teachers single him out. Because,
he's a great dude, but
yeah. So he was like oftentimes considered the troublemaker, even though it wasn't really the situation. So he would sit in the back left corner, and he would make some noise, and the teacher would like get up out of her desk, walk to the front, and she had to walk past the TV to get to this kid. And every time she walked past the TV, we turn it off. And it went on for weeks. And eventually we convinced her that she was breaking it by walking back. So she had to walk in this really ridiculous pattern, like all over the classroom, to get back to him. Because we do it like in all over the class, and just convince her that like, oh, you must be stepping on wires, or like, you must be shaking the floor just enough to the television.
There's electromagnetic waves.
Maybe your keys. So.
As a teacher, I feel like you probably don't expect the entire class to be orchestrating some like
some terrible month-long
like you student. We're from the student's perspective, especially in middle school. It's like it's all of us versus the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they want to hold us here and teach us about our American heritage.
I'll show you my American heritage.
But all you can think of is like that bitch took my Pokemon cards. I want my shinies back. Oh man.
So I asked you this thing off the air that I'm going to ask you now. It seems like the appropriate time. You make the comics 3 times a week, right?
Yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
So I guess I have 2 questions. One of them is less interesting than the other, but I think important. When you publish a comic Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do you write them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or do you often like write 3 and then like publish them over the week?
It'll depend. Like some weeks I will sit down and feel really inspired in like one writing session and get down a bunch of ideas, which will then serve for like the next 3 or 4 comics. Sometimes it'll be like I'll still be struggling for an idea the night before, or even like the day of sometimes. But for the most part, it's better to have them in advance because you can really, or like for me anyway, I feel like I can really spend more time thinking about the idea and decide if it's really good. So it's definitely good to give myself a little bit of a buffer before it's published. But as far as creativity, I think you were asking about before.
Yeah,
like,
so the other half of the question was like, what does it mean for you to be somebody who creates on a schedule?
Yeah, so that's like initially I didn't used to do it on a schedule, and then about 2.5 years ago I decided that it should be on a schedule because that's how you really like establish a presence online, is by updating on a schedule and like always putting out new stuff. And I feel like being on a schedule has been good for me because it used to be that I would just write whenever I was feeling inspired or like whenever an idea came to me. But when you really like sit down and think about a joke or think about a comic, it's like for me, I feel like I'm more efficient and more creative that way. Like when I really purposely set aside a time to write as opposed to just waiting for lightning to strike.
Right.
And if you want to produce a lot of work, that's kind of how you have to do it. And I just think about like the daily cartoonists who do comics 7 days a week in the newspapers, and that must just be such a grind. But it also forces you to come up with a lot of good stuff, I think.
Do you read the funny pages?
I used to. Not so much anymore because I don't have a newspaper subscription, but I do read them on gocomics.com, which is owned by Universal Press, and it's like where they publish, it's basically their digital sphere where they publish all their print comics, and I actually publish on that site as well. So it's cool to be alongside strips like Pearls Before Swine or Foxtrot. Yeah. Because I would say like even before I picked up Matt Groening, I was reading those every Sunday. I would like grab them off my parents' bed when they were like reading the rest of the newspaper. And Pearls Before Swine in particular was the first like edgy comic that I read in a newspaper. And it was like it was really cool to see that style of humor on the pages, like next to Garfield or Family Circus.
I love all like the super self-aware puns that always end with like one of the characters just like calling out the cartoonist, like, dude, like you're so bad at this.
Yeah, and he draws himself as like this disgusting slob.
Yeah, like this kind of like ambiguously hairy guy who like probably hasn't showered. It's interesting to like for the creator to be a subject of contempt in the cartoon. That's funny.
Yeah, definitely. The web cartoonist Zach Wiener, who does Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal, will a lot of times do like a reference to himself. He has like an extra panel that you have to hover over a button to see.
Oh, the red button?
Yeah. And like a lot of times in the past, it's been like him reflecting on the joke in some way, which I think is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of self-referential humor.
I love the kind of like the mouse over element of webcomics. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that like webcomics have over print media.
Like XKCD, I think, does a particularly good job.
Yeah, and SMBC obviously has like, you know, I feel like they kind of created that design with the red button, where that became like that little secret thing that you wouldn't think to look for unless you were like, you know.
Yeah, it's cool. I like really wanted to do alt text, like mouse over text, when I first started, and I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I was so mad about that.
Hey, you can say piss. You can be pissed off about that.
Okay.
I mean, so it's 11:50 at night. Like, if you hear the word pissed and like you're not okay with it, you should really be asleep.
Go to bed.
Like, come on, you got cartoons to watch in the morning.
But yeah, I could never figure out that element. So Poorly Drawn Lines has no mouse over text, unfortunately.
Would you like to change that at some point?
At this point, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like.
But yeah, I really like.
I'm sure he's run into somebody by this point who could like teach him alt text. Like, I appreciate your initiative at jumping at that opportunity.
Like that, yeah.
You go through life like, hey, you read Poorly Drawn Lines? Yeah. I don't make it, but you know how it is alt text. Like
Yeah,
I
That
told,
was me.
I'm the one who sent him the link to the
Try it,
tutorial
man.
online.
Yeah.
I've actually had people comment on the comics before, like a couple of different people being like, "Why is there no alt text? Like, I can't believe you don't have alt text."
Yeah, right.
Apparently it's
Entitled.
like, yeah, you have to have
Yeah,
alt
up
text
yours,
now to
man.
really be considered a serious cartoonist.
Where's your alt text? Like, dude,
I couldn't figure it out, man. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Do you want a refund? Like,
Yeah, the material is free.
like crap. I'm sorry that this thing I created to entertain you, like, didn't entertain you to the extent you
That you
hoped it
expect,
would.
Yeah.
It only entertained you like most of the way there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a question I want to ask. How is creating, multiple times a week comic book shape the way that you kind of like perceive everyday life? Or like, do you look at, do you observe things differently now or interact with people differently now that you potentially have everything in the world as a source for creativity?
I think I've always sort of been on the lookout for things that might inspire a joke. Like ever since I started drawing comics, I feel like I've started looking at things a little bit differently. Like if I see a bird hopping across the street or something, I'm like, oh, he's like hopping in a really funny way. Maybe I can work in some kind of bird hopping across the street. So yeah, I'm not super aware of it
Inspired.
constantly, but I do see things in everyday life that I'm like, that's funny.
That would be a good comment.
That would be a good comic, yeah. As far as interacting with people, like sometimes I'll be inspired by something someone says. A lot of people try to give me comic ideas, and that never really works out.
Yeah, I've had this great comic about these two just bastard DJs. Like,
Yeah, I'll use that one.
I've also noticed there's a lot of like anthropomorphism in your comics, and not that it's exclusive to your comics, but it seems like you shift a lot between like sometimes they're humans, sometimes they're bear humans. Like, is that a conscious thing, or is there any element to like creating animals as people that?
I just like to sort of vary the material. Like I could do humans, but sometimes it's nice to like have it look different. Or sometimes it's funnier to have an animal be in a certain situation than it is a human. Like going back to the hamster having a breakdown, like I think it's funny to see a hamster having an existential crisis, like funnier than a human in a lot of ways because you wouldn't necessarily expect that.
Storm's coming. I think we have a short amount of time. Yeah, brace yourself, man. So in the interest of time, I want to ask one question for basically on behalf of our listeners, like we were talking about, the zinesters from earlier, or people who just have the inspiration to do a webcomic or any kind of like creative publication. What would you tell somebody who's kind of like starting out now or still in the early stages now? Like, what steps of yours could they follow to like maybe replicate your success or notoriety?
I would say the biggest thing is just constantly producing work and putting a lot of work where people can see it. The internet is the best place to do that. I don't know a lot about like creating zines. I think that's really cool, but like my experience is with just putting stuff on the web. And if you put your stuff out there and are confident in what you're making and put it out on a schedule, you'll start to build a following after a while. And if enough people like it, maybe eventually you can start to make some money off of it. And then that's when you get just super rich off of the internet.
Just like rolling in the dollar
rolling in
bills.
Is that what you
dollars,
do?
yeah.
Are you bathing in dollar bills?
I actually convert all of my money into coins because I feel like it's more dramatic to swim in coins than dollar bills. So yeah, I was really inspired by DuckTales.
Yeah, right.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, I just had the same image of Scrooge McDuck, just like.
Yeah, exactly.
Head first.
It's actually you don't go right into the coins when you do it. Like I really hurt myself pretty badly the first time I tried, but I've gotten used to it now. You just have to like slowly work your way into the coins and then start sort of like breaststroke is best usually. But the diving board thing is purely myth. Like that's just a TV trope. So
It's like you ended up using a lot of those coins on a trip to the emergency room.
yeah, don't fall for that. It was bad. Trying to bring them in the ambulance with me. with broken bones and everything. But
Like if you think jumping from a high distance onto water treats water like a solid surface, try jumping onto a solid surface
yeah,
from
an
that.
actual solid surface.
Yeah,
So,
this is made of like strong, durable metal.
yeah, so don't be fooled by that. That would be my biggest advice to people
People who are
trying to
starting
start
out.
out.
Like, when you get rich,
Yeah, when you
dive
have a
feet
lot of,
first into your
yeah, when
money.
you have a lot of coins to swim in, just do it slowly. Don't get too exuberant, and you should be okay.
Yeah, check the temperature.
Yeah,
Get it one foot at a time.
exactly.
Or like, by golly, turn it into liquid assets, huh?
That too, yeah. I hear helium's
Shut up,
going to be
Alec.
pretty. What's a gaseous asset? It's going to be pretty valuable soon.
Yeah, how about that plasma asset?
Yeah, or mercury maybe. So it would be bad for you.
So yeah, I thought when I heard the elevator that was going to be a short time for us, but I guess we have a couple minutes. John, do you want to ask anything else? Or? At what point? So you do this comic thing full time now, right?
Yeah.
At what point was that able to happen? At what point did you recognize that like that was a step you needed to take?
I
Good question.
realized that I wasn't like I was at a full-time job at a media company before this, writing and editing, and then about a year ago I just decided like this is what I really wanted to do, and I'd kind of been working toward that point for like a year before that, like eventually trying to get to the point where I could do this full-time. And I was around a lot of people who had started their own websites, and some of them had gone off to do it professionally, and so I figured I could do it as well. And then I started making a little bit more off of advertising and merchandise, and at a certain point I was like, I should just go for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm young, when else am I gonna give it a shot like this? And it's worked out well so far. Like, my audience has just been growing over the past year since I started doing it full time, and I love having all this time to devote to writing and drawing. So,
Do you want to talk at all about this process? So you said you're like 10 days into trying to turn your comics into a book.
yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what that's been like? And
Yeah, so I just I've been working with an agent to put together a proposal to pitch to publishers, and we're going to be doing the first pitch on Friday, and see where it goes from there. But a lot of my readers have been asking for a book, and I thought about self-publishing, but then I decided I'd rather try and go the traditional route first, and that's where I am right now. So hopefully that comes out in like a reasonable amount of time, like not 2-3 years or something like that,
right,
so that I can get it to people as soon as possible. And I would really like to have a physical copy of my comics.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about the process of like how that's affected the creative process. Well, I know we touched a little bit on this earlier, but I'm sure there's people out there who are curious, like if that is the proper path for them to take, or like what kind of creative influences they would encounter by going through like a publishing company and an agent and all that.
Well, so there's self-publishing, which means you control it all and you can make your book exactly like you want, but it's also difficult because you have to front the costs and everything. But if you are working with a publisher, if they're buying the material that you've created because it's good. So I haven't really encountered any like editorial differences or anything like that. So far it's been just a matter of like getting my comics and like my writing and my voice into a book, and I haven't really had any creative differences or anything like that. So I think if you have like a good product and a good style, that you're gonna be able to do that without too many problems.
So it sounds like what you're saying is like if somebody offers to publish you, like let them publish you. Like holy crap, let them publish you.
Be careful with it and like make sure that you're not compromising in any way. But so far it's going well for me. And I mean I haven't been offered a book deal or anything like that. Like we'll see what happens. But the process of actually like getting the proposal together has been good so far. Like I like the people I'm working with.
I mean, you are one of the more popular online comics. I imagine that, like...
Yeah, I don't know, like, metric-wise, how I compare to some others, but I definitely feel like I've built up a good following, and I like having an audience reading my stuff now, so...
Cool.
Yeah, hopefully they'll stick with me for a little longer.
Well, this is the part where we ask you to tell that audience some parting words, whatever the last thing of the night you think they should hear is before whatever music we decide to play them.
Listen to a Fistful of Vinyl on this radio station.
Damn.
It is great.
Last words.
These guys seem cool. I just met them today.
All right.
Make stuff and put it on the internet.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's probably better because like
Yeah.
that's advice that we follow.
Yeah, definitely. That's the big thing. Make stuff and put it on the internet and oppose internet censorship.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You guys have been listening to A Fistful of Vinyl on
That's right,
KXLU 88.9 FM Los Angeles. Our guest today has been the creator of Pour Later on Lines, and we're going to probably figure out a way to put this up on a SoundCloud or something similar to that. We can figure that out off air.
Yeah.
But
right now.
coming up
Anybody
next,
here is Google for a half hour.
it's like, oh, this one, it's not free. Damn it. They want
That
money.
only takes MP4.
All right, but coming up next, we've got Michelle with Melody Fair. The last song you're going to hear is I Love You Like an Alcoholic by the Taxpayers. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. John?
I just found out today that the Taxpayers... Have you seen the Taxpayers Facebook page?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Oh, man. It's so different.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. I'm glad it all came together so well. Like, just from like a kind of random, like, oh, we should try this, to like, this is actually one of the best interviews I feel like we've had.